bases dropped on Freestyle Friday here at Soccer Down Here. Wow, Jarrett, I think I got it right.
That was clean. That was music started on time. Transition was clean. Music faded. Base dropped.
I'm scared.
10 out of 10, no notes.
I'm scared. All right.
I'm not. I'm proud. Not even afraid anymore.
Busy show, and that's why we're starting. And I think that, and Jarrett did the math on this, and so I think that this is pretty much how we will do things on.
I did the math on it. Y'all are so screwed.
Well, yeah, but I think that
no one here was a math major.
No,
he's the son of an English teacher. I was the son of a news director.
Yeah, and I'm
y'all are all so screwed.
Yeah, poli-sci major. Hi, minored in communications. And it's so being a communications minor, I don't know if that's going to work. But you did the math on this, and because of the length of the traditional weekend whip-around, patent pending, trademark coming, it'll lead us right up into our friends at Beyond Goals mentoring at 9:30. I believe that it's Cap's turn, and we can talk about what happened in Rhode Island, see if he has his construction helmet and his shovel still from the groundbreaking of the facility up in Rhode Island. So we'll ask about that and a couple of other things as we go. But yes, you did the math, and it traditionally takes us a good 45 minutes to get through the weekend whip around in a full format for a full weekend. So that's why we're starting early, so we can get into our friends at Beyond Goals on a Freestyle Friday. That one is at 9:30, and then after that, starting at 10, it will end up with everything else that's going on in the world. Get you ready for juice boxes across the pond and all that kind of stuff. So very, very busy show. And let's see. So let's go ahead and do this for the opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And you can follow them along at Kickoff Coffee as I turn to my right and lean the QR code into the screen. If you guys are really ambitious, you can follow Kickoff Coffee CO on Twitter, Facebook, and on Instagram. Once again, that's at Kickoff Coffee. Use the code SoccerDownHere15, all of the words, SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase for Kickoff Coffee, and at the same time, they take 10% and they roll it into youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff that we're doing with Kickoff Coffee. Morning, Sean Vergara. We can talk Florida Panthers if you want to. Hey, it's a Freestyle Friday. That's what we're here for. Nazem Kadri signing the big free agent contract to go from Colorado to Calgary. So we'll see what happens with that. Everybody's like, yeah, Huberdeau.
Just bring the damn Flames home already.
Yeah, I know, especially with the lease agreement and all those other kinds of things that are out there. But what I wanted to do, we actually have, Jarrett, playoff scenarios. I guess I should say scenarios. We have playoff scenarios for the decision day, still 7 weeks away, October 9th. But you can lock in LAFC with a playoff spot this weekend. So LAFC, and here's how they can do it, by the way. LAFC can clinch a berth in the MLS Cup playoffs if, and I feel like Justin Roberts from AEW here, if 1, LAFC win or draw at San Jose, or 2, Seattle lose at LA, or 3, Minnesota lose it with Austin, or Colorado lose or draw versus Houston, or Salt Lake lose or draw versus Vancouver, or Dallas lose at Nashville, or LA lose versus Seattle, and Dallas draw at Nashville, and Minnesota draw at Austin. First club to clinch by season. Took New England 27 games to do it in 2021 games played. And the earliest clinching, and I'm trying to go through numbers here, looks like 25 from LAFC back in 2019. So 7 different scenarios. LAFC can clinch a berth in the Audi 2022 MLS Cup playoffs. So 7 different scenarios in LAFC can be in. So we have that to look forward to for the next 7 weeks, trying to figure out combinations, permutations, who's in, who's out, how can they do it. And our favorite conjunction will be or coming forward over the next 7 weeks. So we can start talking about playoff scenarios and all that kind of stuff here at SDH on a daily basis, well, on a match day preview basis.
I'm going to keep telling everybody the same thing I've told them last year and this year. if you spend every day looking at the table, looking at scenarios, you will drive yourself insane. The best chance you have for sanity is to enjoy the games when they happen, and when they're not, go touch grass. If you
Yes.
want to take a break and look at it, that's cool. Don't kill yourself and go crazy staring at scenarios, because I promise they're going to change after the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Decision day this year is shaping up to be incredibly stupid.
Yes.
Kind of like last year, where a team might be out of the playoffs entirely or might end up going on the road in a really favorable matchup, and that might change within 10 minutes of game time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very stupid. Do not worry your hair is gray worrying
No.
about worrying about it right now,
No.
because especially as far as Atlanta is concerned, really all you can do now is try and win games.
Mm-hmm.
You can't worry about, well, we need this to happen, we need that to happen. You've kind of thrown a lot of leverage you had out, especially with the first half against Red Bulls, to the point all you can do now is go try and win games and see what happens, which is what you did last year in the middle of, I guess it was July or August. You had that stretch where you rattled off a bunch of wins in a row. It's basically all you can do. You go win games, and you just hope that stuff happens that helps you out. Because if you don't win games, no amount of help means a damn thing.
Yep. Take care of your business. Focus on the right-hand side of the table, the right-hand side of the full graphic on the table, not the left-hand side, meaning points behind and chasing playoff spots. Not
Yeah, I
necessarily
don't.
where you are.
Yeah, I don't care how many points they are behind at this point. You have to win games because you haven't been doing that, and
Yep.
you've had some really impressive draws. Like getting out of Chicago with a draw was impressive, considering that run Chicago was on. Chicago came back down to earth last week. Going to Cincinnati and getting one where you felt like you could have blown Cincinnati out of their own building, but you fought back and got one. That's good heart. It's a good fight. None of it mattered though, because you went and lost to New York.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know where you go next.
Take care of your business. Bottom line, you take care of yours, and then maybe look at what everybody else is doing. But you take care of you first on the run in. So that's where we are. I haven't had the chance to ask you about this. Luchi Gonzalez is now the new head coach of your Quakes.
Yeah, I'm good with this.
Okay.
And Sean, yeah, we talked about this like 2 weeks ago, man. I don't care at this point. Like during like the middle parts of the season, yeah, I'd love it to be entertaining. But at this point, man, I don't care if you gotta I don't care if it's the ugliest game in human history. I get where you're coming from on the snark side, but
Mm-hmm.
man, I don't care. I don't care if it's pretty or not. You need 3 points by hook or by crook. If you got to be dastardly and wacky races to get done, that's what you got to do, man.
Yeah.
As far as the Quakes go, will there be investment? I don't know. Let's find out.
That's the largest question. Will there be investment to help out Luchi Gonzalez as the new head coach in San Jose? So let's go ahead and get into it. And we will get into the weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming. And it actually starts with, by the way, that was your opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And Kickoff Coffee CO available on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. Kickoff Coffee CO. Once again, use the code SoccerDowney15, get 15% off of your purchase. 10% gets rolled over into youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee at kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right. Weekend whip around starts with Friday night football. And we talked to Nico Moreno about it yesterday. And you can catch that conversation back on the network on Thursdays with Nico on his third cup of coffee, since we did it in the afternoon, and get his thoughts on Seattle and LAG. LA Galaxy a -110 at Dignity Health Sports Park. Your draws a +290. And once again, this is a composite of 16 different juice box purveyors thrown into a pile and averaged out. Seattle is a +258 for this particular match. So we yield fun facts like we always do in these scenarios. 10:08 kick in Carson, California. Seattle unbeaten in 8 straight matches against the Galaxy in MLS play. They've won 5 of those, including the 3-2 win back on March the 12th. Sounders could equal the longest unbeaten streak against the Galaxy in MLS history on Friday. The Red Bulls with 9, straight from 03 to 06, including playoffs. Galaxy scored 4 first-half goals for the first time since 2016 in their 5-2 win over the Whitecaps last Saturday. Just the second time in the last 6 seasons that LA scored at least 5 goals in an MLS match after doing so 30 times, including the playoffs, in their first 21 MLS seasons, 96 to 2016. Third fun fact, Seattle's loss to RSL on Sunday, 13th defeat of the season. Loss to the Galaxy would equal the most defeats in a single regular season in club history, 14 in the 2016 campaign, which they went on to win MLS Cup. There's your hashtag Zombie Sounders example. What say you, Jarrett Smith, for the first time on a Friday?
Draw.
And apparently Ricky Puig will be available for selection. He says it's a league for young players, but it looks like Ricky Puig might be available in this one. Yeah, I don't know if, knowing how difficult it is to win on the road, I'm agreeing with you. I think that Seattle gets offense. I think that the Galaxy's defense will hold them back. And so I would be looking more at the total in this one. It's probably something 2-2-ish. So anything on a total above 3.5, that's where I'm looking at with this one. That's just me. So that's your Friday. Heading to Saturday, boatload of games on your Saturday. There are 8. Count them, 8. Starting at 6 o'clock at Red Bull Arena. Red Bulls and FC Cincinnati. Red Bulls at a minus 143, coming off of the win against Atlanta United. The draw is a plus 301. Cincinnati is a plus 350 in this one, and that's pretty much 350 across the board. 6:08 kick at Red Bull Arena. Fun facts. Red Bulls and Cincinnati played a 1-1 draw at TQL back on July 9th. New York won each of the first 3 meetings between the sides before recording just 1 win in 5 games since, 2 draws and 2 losses. Red Bulls have lost 3 straight home matches after losing only 2 of their previous 16 at Red Bull Arena, drawing 8 of those and winning 6. Red Bulls have just 1 4-match home losing streak in club history, July and August of 1999. It was 7 straight from July through September, including 1 breakaway shootout defeat. I missed the breakaway shootout. FC Cincinnati's 2-2 draw against Atlanta on Saturday, their 8th draw in their last 11 matches. This comes after a run where Cincinnati drew just 8 times in their previous 47 from April 21 through the end of May of 22. What say you, Jarrett Smith? As you're processing the information, I would too. Because I'm leaning draw, but that's just me because I don't know which Red Bulls team I'm going to get, and Cincinnati seems to be playing better on the road. So for me, I would go draw in this one. I like me, I'm always a fan of those large numbers too.
Give me Cincinnati here.
Okay.
Red Bulls have been really inconsistent for as good as they were against Atlanta. And look, Atlanta was bad in that game. After, especially, in that stretch in the middle third of the first half, if you want to call it, where they were sloppy and New York was clinical. Also, Lewis Morgan might go back to England. Good job, Celtic. Screwed that one up, jerks. But as good as they were in those moments, as good as performances they got from those kids, they were not good against Orlando the game before. I think this is that part of the year for Red Bulls where it can get really inconsistent because that style is hard to play, especially in the weather where it'll beat you up, and then the travel on top of that. So you had to play a draining game in Orlando. You got up for Atlanta, which they had to. Red Bulls are in the playoff picture. They're in really good shape, but they're also in that position where if they kind of slip up a bit, they can get dragged back into the whirlpool of chaos. I still think they have consistency issues overall. Give me Cincinnati in a surprising one here, although the draw is really tempting.
Yes, no doubt. So Jarrett's going to take that plus 350 with Cincinnati and work forward. Intriguing matchup at Stade Saputo, a place that you like, at 7:30. CF Montreal, soon to be Impact, probably, hopefully, maybe, hosting the Revs. Montreal is a home favorite at a minus 128. Your draw is a plus 296. The Revs are a plus 308 in this particular match. So, fun facts from Stade Saputo.
Montreal.
Oh, okay. New England won 6 straight against CF Montreal. Ha, ha, ha. Including playoffs. Longest active win streak by one team against another in Major League Soccer. First time any team has won 6 straight matches against CF Montreal in MLS play. Came from behind to beat Houston 3-2 on Saturday. 6th come-from-behind win of the year, most in Major League Soccer. Montreal's earned 20 points from losing positions this season. tied with Austin for most in Major League Soccer. New England has lost only 2 of their last 17, drawing 9 following the 2-2 draw with Toronto on Wednesday. Revs are the only team in Major League Soccer with fewer than 3 losses since the start of May, but I, like you, am with Montreal here at that minus 128.
This feels like an Omar Gonzalez special. Like, New England's in good shape. Bruce springs on Omar because sometimes these old school managers can't get out of their ways. And Omar comes on to shut the door and ends up slamming his foot in it.
Yeah, I could see that. But, yeah, so I'm going to go with Montreal at home. So 7:30, and this is where we've been bitten before. D.C. is hosting Philadelphia. Traditionally, at the end of that sentence, you and I both would sit there and say Philly at a plus 122 as a road favorite.
Yeah, we would, wouldn't we?
Your draw's a plus 245 and DC's a plus 214. Are we just going to sit there and say Philly and keep moving?
Yeah. I mean, like, I forget who had it. There was a good little thread that somebody put together about the way DC played their mid-block against LAFC and basically, kept LAFC from doing their build-up play the way they want to. The problem is that DC didn't keep contact with their back line and their midfield, so they left a lot of that space in between where LA was able to drop in, and they also played with a red card for part of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Philadelphia just because Philadelphia is kind of a machine, but I'm not going to watch it and enjoy it. I'll probably watch it, but I won't enjoy it.
Correct. Yeah. So, no, there's a lot of other stuff going on your Saturday, kind of like the twos at Loudon. Keep an eye on that one instead. 8 o'clock kick. We got 2. Inter Miami at DRVPNK is hosting Toronto. Inter Miami's a plus 136, home favorite. Your draw is a plus 285. Toronto is a plus 166 in this one. And Nico reminded me yesterday that we have subplot and intrigue with this one at DRVPNK at 808. The Alejandro Pozuelo Bowl is this one, straight out of the block. So, fun facts. After a 2-1 Toronto victory in the first MLS meeting between these sides, Inter Miami has won 3 straight against Toronto. One of 2 winning streaks at 3 or more Miami's had against a single opponent in MLS, also winning 4 in a row against Cincinnati from 20 to 21. A lot of folks did that. Inter Miami came from behind to beat NYCFC 3-2 back on Saturday. 10th time in Miami's last 11 that it fell behind at some point. Though in those 10, Miami has rallied to collect 12 points, winning 3 and drawing 3, going unbeaten in the last 3 in which they trailed, with 2 of those being wins. Toronto is unbeaten in 5 straight, 3 wins and 2 draws, including the 4-3 win at Nashville in their last away match, ending a 19-match road winless run. Reds haven't gone more than 5 straight without a defeat since a 9-match unbeaten run in September and October of 2020. So, what do you think? What say you, Jared Smith?
I say Toronto because despite all of our misgivings about Toronto, which I still think were founded, they didn't have outside backs. They got absolutely skinned alive, like Shane Black at the beginning of Predator.
Interesting mental picture, and I remember that now that you brought that up. But yeah,
he also directed the Predator movie from 2018, which is one of the worst installments of a franchise I can ever remember. It's so bad. Mm-hmm. It tried to be funny and then just wasn't. Anyway, I digress. Yes. Toronto had a game plan and they stuck to it in that they just wanted to be kind of within shouting distance. Everybody's coming in, Bernadeschi, Insigne. Those guys have come in and gotten the job done. You've gotten those moments of brilliance. I still think Toronto has some stuff they got to fix.
Yeah.
They still need to fix the defensive side. Like, the perfect game to watch, honestly, is Toronto and Austin. That's the matchup I want because that's like 7-7 waiting to happen. Because no one's going to defend. Brad Stuber's going to have to make like 6 saves that'll be save of the year candidates just to keep it at that point. But Toronto's done exactly what they needed to do, which is they kept within shouting distance. And now they're getting the individual performances and some of the team performances as well, and guys like Jonathan Osorio and Michael Bradley, to get them up over the line here. Mm-hmm. I think they keep doing it against Miami because I am genuinely curious at what point does the Hamburglar run out of gas for Miami?
Yeah,
because as good as Higuain has been, he's not a spring chicken anymore. At
No.
what point did he's going to go out there and give you everything he has? I still think he is because he's a professional, but I don't know how much he's got in the tank game to game. So give me Toronto in this and just another, hey, we're going to see some goals that blow our minds kind of game.
Yeah, I'll go the flip side. I'll take Inter Miami at home because Toronto on the road is different from Toronto at home, even with the new additions of Bernadeschi, Criscito, and Insigne. I'll go Inter Miami at home at DRVP and K, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was a loopy draw as well. And take the over. The other 8 o'clock is Minnesota hosting Austin. Minnesota is a plus 108. Your draw is a plus 282. Austin on the road is a plus 214. So as we look at this one, we yield fun facts from Allianz at 8:08 kick. The 4 MLS meetings between Minnesota United and Austin feature 1 home win, 1 away win. The winning team has kept a clean sheet in all 4 meetings. Good luck. Minnesota's 2-1 win over Nashville on Sunday, 6th win in their last 9, drawing 2 and only losing 1 in that stretch. The Loons have scored at least twice in 8 of those 9 after scoring more than 1 goal in just 3 of their first 16 in 2022. Austin overturned the 3-1 deficit to beat Sporting 4-3 on Saturday night. Third time Austin has won a match in which it has trailed by 2 goals this season. DC in April, Colorado in July. Austin's the first team to win 3 matches in which it trailed by multiple goals in a single MLS season. What say you, Jarrett Smith? I'm taking the over.
Yes, I'm taking the over as well. Look, Austin is a lot of fun. They score some beautiful goals. Sebastian Druisi is your MVP for the season. Brad Stuver keeps standing on his head. We've rehashed this. Buried underneath all of that fun is the hard-to-swallow pill for me personally, that's not a good way to live life. Having those come-from-behind moments, having to rescue things over and over and over again. It very much gives me vibes of a better version of what Orlando was in like 2016, 2015.
Yeah.
Even parts of 2017 and 18 where they'd get on these runs where like, oh, the cardiac cats do it again. They come from behind, they leave it late, and then they get it done. It's not sustainable. Yeah. And look, Austin's not going to fall out of the playoff picture. Don't get me wrong. But you can live Austin, you don't have to live like this.
You can live a healthier life.
Yeah. You don't have to live off of racetrack taquitos. You can go to a sit-down restaurant. You don't have to do this to yourself, man.
Yeah.
Just get on top of a game like you did against Atlanta. I realize that's a bad example for some people.
Yes.
But it's a good example of what they can do. Like, live that kind of life, Austin. Don't do this to yourself.
I'm going to go, obviously, draw and the over and checking over-unders. Let's go. Let's start at 2.5. You're to minus 200. 3.5. You're a plus 124. 4.5. You're to plus 278. So I'll go over 3.5 at that plus 1.25. So that's what I'm looking at there. Wacky, crazy draw at Allianz with Minnesota and Austin FC. Next on the board, Colorado and Houston at 9 o'clock. Prairie Dogs and Dynamo. Colorado's a minus 143. Do we care about going any further?
No.
Figured. 10 o'clock. RSL in Vancouver at the Riot. RSL's a minus 164. Your draw's a plus 308. And the Julian Gressel-led Vancouver Whitecaps are a plus 429. Do we go any further?
No, but I like Vancouver.
Okay. Well, okay. All right. So
I'm excited about Vancouver's future. Julian Gressel had a go back and look at the assist he had last weekend. That dude jumped it like hey, it's football season, Falcons fans. Y'all ready to get hurt again? He jumped that pass like Robert Alford in the Super Bowl. You're welcome. We're all dead inside. You can stab me. It's all scar tissue. I can't feel anything. The nerves are dead anyway.
There you go.
A great job with the second goal, which reaffirms my belief that we should be importing Scottish stars more consistently to MLS. My chief examples being gold out there in Vancouver, Johnny Russell in Kansas City,
right,
and Lewis Morgan, formerly of Miami, now New York Red Bulls. Keep importing Scottish players, please. God, for the love of God. Also make the Scottish national team better because they actually play instead of playing caveman hoofitball. like they
Yes.
do at Kilmarnock.
Uh,
But go back and watch that, man. He's playing that wingback real beautifully. He stepped in the passing lane, read it, stepped in the passing lane, picked it off, played it, little cutback ball. Boom, 1 touch, 2-0 lead for Vancouver. Give me Vancouver. I want to believe, Vancouver. This is my X-Files moment. I want to believe.
so Jarrett is cigarette smoking man, I guess, in this case, or Mulder. So I'll go RSL. I think that Vancouver's different on the road than they are at home. I'll go with RSL on this one. I'm not touching it, but I might take the total. 10 o'clock, your Quakes hosting LAFC. LAFC is a -118. Your draw's a +328. San Jose is a +252. Do I go further here?
No, I love you, Quakes. Just, again, lifelong fan of any team that's never played a normal game. The only exception to that, honestly, is the Seattle Seahawks. And even then, when they're not playing Atlanta, I like to watch them because they don't play normal games. God love you, San Jose.
So are you going to take the total in this one too?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at the total for the last match at MLS After Dark on Saturday. Over under at a +2.5.
And Bam's right, by the way. San Jose is always up for LAFC.
True.
For some reason, it is very much kind of like 2017 DC against 2017 Atlanta, where DC beat Atlanta 3 times in a year, inexplicably so.
Yes.
Pretty sure that was like Lucho Acosta and it dominated them in that first game because Atlanta came out basically like a chariot on fire, got the job done. But it was Lucho who got involved. God, who else was it? Whatever. Carry on. Yeah, it's kind of, I can't remember who all it was, but yeah, it was one of those things where San Jose gets up for LAFC games and they basically, San Jose's philosophy here is, we're not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with us. We don't care how much blood we lose. We're cool with that. We're just going to take you with us, basically. San Jose is willing to drive the knives deeper into themselves if it means they can pull LAFC closer to stab them too. And that's what makes them dangerous, I think.
Also, let's see, +3.5 at a +110. So that's when it flips. +4 at 4.5 is a +247. So +4, by the way, is a +191. So that would be the range.
Oh yeah, I'm taking +4 in this game because if it's like that, it'll be +4 anyway. And if LAFC decides to just throw a bunch of bear traps on the ground and catch a San Jose in those bear traps, they're going to put 4 on them anyway. +4 feels very safe.
There you go. +191 in the composite for MLS After Dark on Saturday. 5 matches on your Sunday. Crew in Atlanta. We talked about that one already. Basically, Atlanta just needs to win. Focus on that. Crew is a -120.
Don't care if you win pretty or win ugly. Just win the damn game. Don't give up a goal in the first 5 minutes. That'd be a good start, especially with Columbus, because you did that. You got burned last time because you fell asleep on a set piece. Then you got beat on a long ball over the top because they were just trying to hit home run balls and they connected on one of them.
Yep.
Don't give up a goal in the first 5 minutes. How about that?
Correct.
First 15 minutes. Let's stretch it out. Let's have some fun with it.
Yeah. So Emilio with a question. After independent reading, was Tata more pressure with secondary emphasis on possession, maybe low 50%, and was it FDB that pushed possession to about 60%? So that's Emilio's Atlanta United question.
I mean, Atlanta always had high possession, even with Tata, and they had high passing percentage. They wanted to keep the ball. But when they didn't have it, they went and got it, and they just punished you in those transition moments. This is an era where, Joseph was splitting. Go back and look at the goals in 2017. Joseph splitting center backs with those runs. Frank changed a bit, which Frank kind of had to. I mean, it's at that point, your changes to your defense were that you kind of you weren't able to get out there and play that high line as much. And he was more conservative with the defensive side of things. It worked early in the season, especially you're rolling off those 1-0, 2-0 wins where you're not giving stuff up. Because instead of when you turn it over, instead of pressing immediately, that counter pressing immediately to win it back, you're dropping back and keeping your shape and you're absorbing pressure. It was they both wanted the ball, but Tata was more of that pressure. We're gonna press the ball, but then in the playoffs, man, Tata got pragmatic. Tata set back in the playoffs, and it's kind of like this argument of who could have come in here and done that. I don't think Bielsa could have, because Bielsa God love him, wouldn't have changed. He wouldn't have become pragmatic in the
No,
playoffs.
no.
Tata became pragmatic and set back. He also got help from the fact that Red Bulls, for some inexplicable reason, decided to play a mid block against you in the Eastern Conference Final.
Thanks, Chris
But
Arnold.
but Atlanta was more careful in the playoffs and treated it like a playoff, like a cup competition. Instead it treated it kind of like if you've ever seen the movie The Duelist, 1970s movie. It's kind of like watching those kind of duels, it's a great film about just an obsession and revenge. But when you watch the duels, you're like, oh, this isn't two people with swordplay. These are two people trying not to get stabbed or cut. And that's kind of how Tata treated it, I thought, in the playoffs. We're not trying to get stabbed or cut because the most important number we can hang is a 0 for the other team.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they both wanted possession. Frank didn't press as much, and people were not thrilled with that. And they still put up goals. Especially in the second half of the year, where it kind of felt like they reached a middle ground between Frank and the players, and they were putting up numbers. And remember, you are two Golazzos away from hosting MLS Cup for a second time.
And one defensive
those were fun, and those were fun times.
Yep.
I think fondly on the fact that Frank DeBoer had it clicking at the end of 20. Go back and look at 2019 games. They had it clicking at the end of the year. It was really good. The fact that he didn't have a game plan for post Joseph life in 2020 is what killed him. Yep. Also COVID.
Atlanta United a plus 292 in the composites, and that's a 5:30 start. So 5 o'clock pregame show, 92.9 The Game with Mike and Jason from lower.com in Columbus. Full hour post-match after on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. 6 o'clock, 1800, John. 6 o'clock Eastern, Chicago and NYC. Chicago is a plus 131 at home. Once again, no real surprise with the home favorites. Also on the board, your draw is a plus 264. NYC is a plus 185. Fun facts in this one for a 6 o'clock start at SeatGeek Stadium. So remember, because of football, Chicago has had to slide back down to Bridgeview because of the Bears. They're at Bridgeview for this one at 6:08. NYC has won 8 of their last 13 against the Fire, 3 of them draws, though only one of those was in Chicago, a 4-3 victory in 2020. Since 2017, the Fire have a record of 2-3-1 at home against NYC. The Fire have lost only one of their last 6 home matches, winning 4, keeping clean sheets in all 5 in which they avoided defeat. Chicago's kept 11 clean sheets in their last 15 at home, tied for the most in a 15-match home span in league history. Only RSL in 2010 and 11 has kept 12 in 16 home matches. NYC's lost 3 straight, conceding 3 goals in all 3 defeats. It's the first time NYC has allowed 3 goals in 3 straight MLS matches, as they had allowed just 11 goals in their previous 15 league games combined, dating back to the beginning of May. What say you, Jarrett Smith?
Chicago.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that it's
Fire.
Yeah, Chicago at SeatGeek. So the Gray Clouds of Bridgeview should not hold anything back for the Fire. I've got to go with the Fire in this one as well. 7 o'clock.
New York City got some problems. New York City got to have a conversation with God at some point.
That is true. 7 o'clock. Charlotte and Orlando City at B of A. And friends of the network, Willie P. Style and Jessica Charman on the call for that one. You look at the numbers here. Charlotte's a plus 127 in the composite at home. Your draw's a plus 250. Orlando City is a plus 198. What say you, Jarrett Smith?
I say give me a draw here, but a fun one. That's a great look, man. New York City got to talk to God. They got to get straight.
Mm-hmm.
They need to flip over their WWJD bracelet on their wrist. For those of you who went to youth group in the late 90s, we will have a counseling session later if needed. But don't let that take away from the fact that's a damn good win for Charlotte for their second ever road win. I know New York City's got problems. Charlotte's been a mess on the road. They went up there and made a damn statement against New York City. They gave up Galazzo, but they were able to create and put it away 3-1. Orlando, I cannot predict for the life of me. They are so damn schizophrenic. Mm-hmm. Give me like a 2-2 draw here, only because I don't know whether to trust Orlando or not.
Correct. So that's I'm right there with you. I'll take that one. I'll take another fun one, and once again look at your total. 7:30 Sporting in Portland. Sporting is a plus 108 favorite at home in this one. Don't ask me why, other than the winning percentage of home teams in Major League Soccer. Your draw is a plus
Yeah, that's the
266,
easiest explanation.
and Portland is a plus 229. Do you wish fun facts, or do you already have your decision?
I have Portland because nobody loves to make themselves bleed their own blood like Giovanni Savarese. Savarese and Vermes will be a much better Predator fight than expected.
Mm-hmm.
But give Kansas City will score because Kansas City has an attack now. What they don't have is a functioning six.
True.
Give me Portland in a close, like a 2-1 kind of game.
Okay.
If no other reason, Kansas City's been bit by the injury bug in probably more severe ways than Atlanta, only because they didn't have the depth to deal with it. Imagine if Atlanta had all these injuries, but didn't have, an Aiden McFadden or a Caleb Wiley or a Franco Ibarra or a Marcedic or some of these guys who can like functionally step in and at least like try and hold serve. I know they haven't really been successful because you can look at the table and that's pretty damn obvious. But at least, like guys where you're like, okay, well, I mean, they like Amar Sadic just put in some really good shifts this year. Has it been 100% consistent? No. But he's put in some good shifts. Kansas City doesn't have that depth right now. And so it honestly might be more critical to them with all their injuries, but they also just seem cursed this year because they've, go back to the Austin game last week was a microcosm of their entire season. Like, oh, you finally got offensive production. That's great. Then what happened? Then Austin came out blasting.
So that's where we are with that one. Last one on the board, and I've got to go with Portland here as well, especially late in the year, where Oscar Pineda, you see the regression. Don't ever bet against Giovanni Savarese, especially when the playoff chase is on the line. Last match, I don't know if I guess this is MLS After Dusk on Sunday. Nashville and FC Dallas at Geodis. Nashville's a minus 116. Your draw's a plus 268. FC Dallas is a plus 301 in the composite. And as we look at this one, it's fun facts, and we're checking the start time. It is 8:38. Okay, so it's a normal TV kick at Geodis Park at 8:38. But both sections have local television. FC Dallas won each of their last two against Nashville, including the 2-0 home victory March 12. Nashville hadn't lost any of the first three meetings between the two sides, two of those wins, keeping clean sheets in all three of those games. Nashville has lost consecutive home games for the first time in club history following the 2-1 defeat to Minnesota on Sunday. The loss was its fourth in its last 7 home matches, one of those wins. Prior to the run, Nashville had suffered just 2 losses in 35 home MLS matches, including playoffs. FC Dallas has won 4 of their last 6 MLS matches, one draw and a loss in each, including the last 2. 3 of those 4 wins have come by 1-0 scorelines, a result Dallas had produced just twice in the previous 4 years, dating back to July 2018. What say you, Jarrett Smith?
Fetch me my whipping stick.
Uh-oh.
Let me have Dallas. Let me whip on Nashville some more.
Okay.
Developing a good backswing dealing with Nashville. If Hani Mukhtar ain't getting it done, no one else is consistently getting it done.
Correct.
Nashville sits outside the playoff picture right now, I believe.
Checking.
Or right there at it.
I
think Vancouver jumped them.
Yeah, they did, but they're in that group of 4 clubs at 33, and it's the number of wins that's the separator. Galaxy, 24 matches played, so the Galaxy have a match or matches in hand with the folks around them at 33, 10 wins. Vancouver, 26 matches, 9. Nashville, 26 matches, 8. Portland, 26 matches, 7. So that's where they all are at 33 points.
Fetch me and my whipping stick. Dallas.
All right.
Nashville, I do not trust you.
Yep.
Y'all got to figure something out in the postseason to make this better, to build upon, because what you have is solid. What you have is a playoff team that is not executing right now, but it's good enough to be in the playoffs. Don't know why the defense has fallen off the way it has. Especially when the defense was good, you were a good enough team to be top 4 in the league. Or top 4 in the conference. That's fine. But you're not getting it done right now. And you don't have the offensive firepower to make up for that. Y'all talk about look, so we were right. You were right back in, looking at 2019, 2020, Atlanta went as Joseph went. Man, Nashville goes as Hani Mukhtar goes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put him in hell, then you stand a really good chance to at least get a draw out of Nashville. Give me Dallas here. And I think because Nashville's got the talent to turn it around. They just haven't. Don't know what they do. Don't know where they go. Don't know, who they could have brought in. I mean, another striker, a better striker. I don't really know what their next move is, but give me Dallas.
And that's where we are. And you know that it's a true sign of us being back, Jarrett.
What, the bot?
The bot.
I want to become famous.
Well, I mean, but does it come into buying followers? I don't know if we can do that.
Oh, I'm not going to sell my soul that much.
No.
Yeah, it's what it is.
All right, so I talked about it a little bit, alluded to it briefly. Atlanta United 2 at Loudoun United this weekend. What do you think?
Same thing we talked about post game after talking to Jack Collison that we talked about in the Tuesday review, John. I need you, boy. I need to figure. You got to figure out how to hate losing more than you love winning.
Yep.
This is a Shoresy moment of they don't hate to lose. They don't skate. They don't hit. They don't shoot. They don't hate to lose. Some of those kids, don't get me wrong. Some of them do. But it's this rut right now for that team where they've put in some good moments in games. They put in some good performances, and then they just trip at the finish line. And Loudoun is going to be looking for revenge. It's going to be a really tough matchup for them. And I really very much want to see how they come out, because when they have really spit the bit, they have fought back. You go back to the Hartford game, which was an embarrassment.
Yep.
To a point where after talking to Jack Collison, walking out of the room, he apologized to all of us that we had to watch that. Then they came out and played a great game against Oakland. How do you answer what happened last weekend? I want to see how they respond to it. They have always responded well. I think some of that, though, was having a guy like Robbie Mertz there, who's that veteran presence.
Yeah.
Who steps up and fills that gap. The armband's been on a Johnny Fortune, and talking to Jack Collison, a Johnny Fortune has stepped up and grown into it. It's the old Celtic adage of, the jersey doesn't shrink. And man, we can talk about this one day, because I'm happy to discuss the Scottish game if you want. We can banter about that all day.
No doubt.
But the idea that the shirt doesn't shrink, and the armband in this case, it doesn't shrink to fit somebody. You grow into it. And a Johnny Fortune, by all accounts, has embraced it and takes on that leadership role. But you got to figure out a way to get the fire going from start to finish. And you get a team down, you got to bury them. Treat them like they're Charleston, which has been Atlanta's get-right game all year.
Yep. Then everybody's get-right game for the most part all season long. So and they will have to do it without Noah Cobb, who got the red last time out. So Noah will not be a part of the back line, and we will see what that looks like. So, Jarrett, we're going to continue talking about stuff after 10 o'clock after Michael Parkhurst joins us coming up here in just a little bit from Beyond Goals Mentoring and the Friday Free Kick. So if you can come back after 10, we'll be here.
I will try. And Bam, we can always talk Scotland. I'm always open to complaining about Scotland, and we can discuss how not enough people consider the Dundee rivalry, considering the stadiums are literally a stone's throw away from each other. Yes. We don't talk nearly enough about how much fun that would be if people would just pay a damn bit of attention.
Yes. So we will
also, for the God's sake, Hearts, great job yesterday on the road. Chance to advance in Europe with a home leg in front of them. Bye, guys.
All right, so you just need to do a hot drop or something for those kinds of things. So it's 9:30 on a Friday morning, which means one thing. Cap, I'm getting the hang of this technology, which is kind of scary,
You're doing great, John.
All right. So first question, where's the hard hat and where's the shovel?
I was not allowed to bring either home. Well, I guess I was allowed to bring the hard hat, but I didn't because I had no room in my suitcase. So I left the hard hat, and I think we're getting shovels like actually ingrained to look proper and nice, and then that'll be shipped out.
See, and for those that might miss the reference, somebody got to do a groundbreaking, and it was a very, very cool thing. It's the next step in bringing a USL franchise to a place that's very, very important to you. And I just thought that having all of the young players there, in addition to the dignitaries and all of that stuff, I think it's a cool moment for soccer in general in the Northeast.
It is. Yeah. Thanks. It was awesome. It was a great day. Everything went perfectly. The weather gods were on our side. Honestly, the day couldn't have gone any better. And it's exciting. It's been a long time coming to get to the point that we are at right now. We thought we'd be here months ago, but snafus and inflation and everything and revolving around COVID and society these days pushed us back, but we're happy to be where we are now. Super excited for what's to come because we're going to build something really special up there in Rhode Island. And finally give Rhode Island a team of its own. It's had some minor league sports teams affiliated to mostly Boston teams. But this is going to be Rhode Island's team. So it's super exciting.
All right. So, and this is what I ask folks as they're building these franchises. I know that there's a to-do list somewhere for the group there in Rhode Island. Is it for you? Is it like me where I have 4 separate calendars, including like this one, the old desk calendar, swear I have this one. And then I've got the Google Calendar, but I have to figure out how to use it. So I end up using it last. Is it on the refrigerator? Is it one of those magnet calendars that's on the fridge, or it's like the thing at 2:00 in the morning with the dry erase board? Where is the to-do list that you have with this project, and what's the next thing you think you can check off of it?
Yeah, the to-do list doesn't reside at my house, thankfully. No, there's we've got the internal document and it's ever changing, of course. But some major milestones coming up on the to-do list. Early October, we're going to have the name and crest unveiling up in Rhode Island. So a big party around that, which will be super exciting. And then start to take season ticket holder requests. So that is the next big to-do list. And then also by year end, we want to have a club president and head coach, GM. So some big hires, big exciting news announcements coming out here in the next few months.
So what kind of individual are you looking for in these kinds of things, where I know that they have to represent what you want to present in a bunch of different ways? It's both on the field and in the community. What kind of an individual are you looking for? Are you looking for someone who understands the Northeast, or are you looking for someone who understands what you're trying to do in the Northeast? Because those can be two different folks.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that in MLS, you usually have a president, a GM, and a head coach. Every now and then you'll have a head coach that is also the GM, like Vermees in Kansas City, Berhalter was in Columbus, but it's rare. But because of the financial differences between MLS and USL, a lot of USL clubs have their head coach be their president, or head coach be their GM, or their president be their president and GM. And so we have decided that we're going to have a president, which is going to focus on the business side of things, who we really would like to have ties to Rhode Island, because Rhode Island is so tight knit. It's nice to know people to get business done up there. So we feel like that person would be great if he or she had some ties to New England, or specifically Rhode Island. But then our head coach will be our GM, and because of that, we're looking for someone with experience here in the U.S., particularly at the USL level, at least at some point in their career. That'll be important for us, because we want to get up and running quickly. We want to have a good, like Atlanta United, have a very good, successful year one where we create that excitement, bring people back, and show everyone that we're here to win from day one.
All right, since you mentioned Atlanta United, and since this is part of your Beyond Goals mentoring segment, so time to take the right turn. If you were mentoring Atlanta United, and I imagine that you probably still have guys on speed dial and regular conversations. If you were mentoring Atlanta United right now, how would you mentor them? How would you and Beyond Goals and Greg, how would you mentor Atlanta United right now, knowing that the Eastern Conference is crazy? You got 9 teams chasing 3 playoff spots right now. What would some of the key points in mentoring Atlanta United, what would they be right now?
Yeah, that's challenging because, it's disappointing to see the results go the way they have gone because, I thought they played very well in Cincinnati, and you still don't get the win. And then, obviously Wednesday was disappointing. They don't play particularly well, at home and against a team that we've always struggled against. So really challenging spot they're in right now. And, point wise, they're not far from the playoffs, but there's a lot of teams in front of them. So, with each week, it's getting dimmer and dimmer, completely honestly. And, I think that the message, for me is just would be like, it's literally now or never. Like there is no time later in the season to catch up on points. You have to do it right now. And, I think maybe a little bit of it is like, you need to start making your own luck right now. They're not getting the luck here and there, even when they play well against Cincinnati, you hit the post, hit the bar. Yep. It seems like the first chance against that we give up is going in. Sometimes, I don't know, just the ball is not being kind to us right now. And one way or another, you have to make your own luck. You have to start believing that the luck will be there, believing that you'll win games and that good performances will lead to victories rather than just hoping that it's going to happen. And some of that is a mindset thing. And some of that is literally going out there and, playing for the team and, completely dedicate yourself so that after every game, you're completely exhausted and feel like you cannot play another game for another couple of days. And obviously that's a lot of stuff that normal people would say as well. Everyone can see and do, but there's no easy way out of these slumps. But the most important thing is to stay committed and stick together. Because if that doesn't happen, there's no way out.
When it comes to your young mentees, is the idea of slumps and making your own luck, is that a topic that comes up sometimes as you sit there and, a team will come and say, hey, we need you to talk about this? Is slumps and making your own luck a topic that you have to tackle with the young mentees as well?
Definitely. And a lot of that stuff is the mental side, right? If things start to go poorly, right? What is the reaction and how high were you before things started to go bad? And when they started to go bad, how low did you drop, confidence wise, mentality wise? And the bigger that space, the more difficult it is to get back to the level. So we do a lot of stuff in the preparation phase of things going poorly, but then the reaction phase, right? Controlling what you can control, is a big one. Letting everything else go, focusing on what you can do better as an individual to help the team. And looking back at things maybe that you've written down. We talk a lot about journaling, and it might be different for pros. I don't think too many pros are journaling, although Greg did every day as a pro. And the benefits of like going back and reading and looking at game film of things that you did well, focusing on positives and knowing like, okay, I can score goals, I can create assists, so we can play well, we can do this, we can make saves, rather than going out there and be like, oh, can I do this? Like, God, it's been so long since we've won, or so long since I've scored a goal, etc.
Greg last week, and I'll ask Greg about this next week too. Greg mentioned the warrior mentality as something that needs to be either accepted, ingrained, whatever. However it permeates into your being when it comes to an individual. When it comes to having that warrior mentality, what are the conversations that you have with your mentees about making sure that, if someone around you has it, how do I get it? How does it rub off on me? How can I sit there and accept that as well? When it comes to the warrior mentality, which sounds like it's something that both adults and young mentees have or can grab a hold of, especially in key moments like we have with Atlanta United. What are the conversations about like when it comes to warrior mentality?
Yeah, it depends on the individual, but one thing I like to talk about is there can be a difference between Michael Parkhurst the person and Michael Parkhurst the player, and by that I mean two of the best competitors that I ever played with were Joseph and Clint Dempsey, and I'll take Clint as an example. Clint was a great guy off the field. I enjoyed playing with him. He was my teammate in New England on the national team sometimes, and we got along really well. But when you cross the line to play, even training,
yeah,
Clint was a different person.
Mm-hmm.
He would do whatever he had to do to have success on the day. It didn't matter if it was in training or not. If you were playing training 6v6, 5v5, and you were on the other team, it was like he was playing against a US-Mexico game every day. Right? It was that intense, and he didn't care. And there's, that takes a certain type of mentality. And Joseph was the same way. And I didn't excel at that area because I wanted to be friends with everybody. And, you can rub guys the wrong way by doing that, because you go hard all the time. But I think you come to respect it too, because you realize like that is so difficult, and that's what makes them so great. And so we talk about trying to adopt some of that mentality, and some of it in the beginning is fake it till you make it.
Okay.
Right. Fake it, where you're going out there and you're telling yourself like, I'm going to be the best player on the field today. Even if you know darn well that there's a lot of better players than you on the day out there. Right. Tell yourself, I'm going to be the best player on the field today. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to win my one-on-one matchup and more. All right. And then you keep telling yourself that, and eventually your mind comes to believe it, and you will start playing more positively and doing things more aggressively that'll lead to better performances. And maybe we need to have some of that with Atlanta United. Like, stop thinking that you're not the best team on the field, because usually you are. Right? We have a very good team, even with injuries. There's no reason why we shouldn't be scoring multiple goals a game, right? And these guys need to, like Araujo and Almada and Joseph and Moreno, like they are the best players on the field every game. They should be. And they need to tell themselves that and go out there and just dominate, and literally just dominate.
How long did it take you to just go out there? If you were, because I mean, this could be even a day-by-day, game-by-game thing where you're just not feeling it. You go out there and it's like, man, it's game 26 in a season and I'm just not feeling it today. How long did it take you to sit there and understand, okay, I've got to put that fake it till I make it mantra on today. I've got to put that mask on today. Or was it something that was continual even through your path as a professional? And did you see it in other professionals who were the best at what they could do?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that there's absolutely some games where you're like that, right? Where you just don't feel, physically or mentally up for it, ready, prepared, whatever it might be, right? And Sunday might be one of those games for Atlanta United, right? They just, 2 games already this week. Now they got to travel up here to Columbus. They're dejected from the game on Wednesday, right? But this is what separates good professionals that are going to have long-lasting careers and successful careers, and from the rest. Honestly, it's these types of games. Everyone can get up for a playoff game or an MLS Cup, right? But can you get up consistently, game after game, no matter what else is going on, right? And we talk about one of the biggest differences between amateurs and professionals is the ability to compartmentalize, right? Whatever else is going on in life, and athletes are people just like everyone else. We've got stuff going on outside. Can you just put that to the side? Everything, right? All distractions, all talk, family stuff, how your body's feeling, everything, right? Put it off to the side. Focus on the game, the 90 minutes, and your ability to do that at the highest level. And that's a challenge for some guys. And again, it's a separating factor.
How hard is that? And how hard for how hard was it for you to do that? Because, a lot of us can sit there and say, as soon as we close the front door to the house and we hop in the car and we're heading to work or whatever, or we're heading to the pitch, you'd like to be able to put that stuff behind us. But I think what my question is in all of this is, how difficult is it to put that stuff behind? Because I think that's almost a day-by-day battle for folks, even in the real world. The folks that are blessed to be athletes, and then there are those who are the guys that get up at 7:30 in the morning or working third shift or whatever. That's got to be a difficult.
Well, I think I'm still live. Our host, John, has been exited out of the program. Oh, he's back.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened. So, all right. So
it's very difficult to answer your question, John. But for me, it was a strength.
Yeah.
It was a strength of mine to be able to do that. And maybe I viewed soccer as for a long time as an escape, right?
Yeah.
It was, I got all this stuff going on, whatever it might be like, but I know, okay, for these 4 hours, like I get to focus nothing on but soccer.
Right.
And I love to do that. But it is a challenge, just like for everyone, right? And we talk all the time about like people bringing work home. Yeah. Right. And it affecting their lives and how they, how much patience they have and how they interact with their spouses and their family and their kids and everything. Right. It's a challenge. But, it's something you can work on as well. And focus on and try and get better at. And for me, it was definitely a helpful attribute.
Okay. So let me pull back the fourth wall here for a second. I don't know how this happened, but once again, I'm learning this technology as we go. I got a virus protection update from Microsoft.
Wow.
And bumped me off of the platform. I don't know what happened. It's like, you get a virus protection update, and you get that banner that comes in the low right-hand corner, and it just sits there and it goes, blew me out. I don't know what happened. I blame technology for this. I always I could blame me, and it's probably the easier thing. But that
sounds like the virus is already there, John.
No kidding. No kidding, man. All right. So, and that was one of the things I wanted to ask about this week. The other one has to do with the young mentees and mentoring parents, because I think at times parents need as much mentoring, if not more, than the young players that you and Greg and everybody that is in your circle are talking to. How difficult is it to mentor parents these days? Because they probably need it just as much, if not more.
Yeah, it's a fine line, because, the last thing I want to come across is me giving other parents parental advice, because I'm not the perfect parent. I don't claim to be or think that I am, but, I do have the perspective of being an athlete growing up and then being a pro athlete and knowing how athletes feel a little bit.
Yeah.
And now as a parent, I see it even more on the sidelines and everything. And I think the one thing that we as parents have lost complete control of or thought of is that the real benefit of sports and, why we want our kids to play sports. And it's not to get a college scholarship or to turn pro, right? That is a byproduct that a very, very small amount of kids will, be able to enjoy, right? The main benefit of sports to have fun and to get exercise and be healthy and be around teammates and, have that experience of being in a team and learning everything that sport can teach you that will make you successful in life later on, no matter what you're doing as a career. And those are the lessons that we try and teach and make sure that we as parents are, yes, setting our kids up for success how we can, but the motivation has to come from the athlete, right? The motivation at some point cannot always be the parent, the coach, the parent, right? Because that's not sustainable, and that's not, the kid's going to burn out and not enjoy it anyways. So parents are wasting their money with, private training after camp after camp, if the kid doesn't enjoy doing it by themselves at the house when they've got free time.
Yeah, because I would think that, the more that parents or influencers sit there and they try to push their will onto a young individual, these days, I would think that would turn them off even faster than it was maybe when you or I were involved. It's like, yeah, I get it. I get what you're doing. I'm going to go and enjoy and have fun with my friends. I just think that maybe these days that pressure might be amplified just because of all of the external factors, which may be more than we got to face when we were growing up.
Definitely. And I also think another big thing is that this newer generation has, I think, a lesser ability to overcome adversity. I think that, and I think some of that is because, we just want our kids to win all the time at any cost, right? Win this game, win this tournament. It's so important. We have to win. But we've lost sight of the fact that you can't have success, long-term success, without failure, without losing, without learning how to lose, without learning how to overcome the obstacles that you faced during that game, of why you lost and how to overcome them, how to battle back and deal with adversity and deal with losses. It's so important to lose sometimes to gain that understanding, but also gain a respect for winning. That winning doesn't always happen. It's not easy to win, and it's something that needs to be constantly strived for and worked at in order to have success. I think some of that's been lost, and some of that is due to my generation of parenting and our desire to have our kids always win.
Well, and it goes back to the Clint Dempsey example that you brought up earlier, where I think that sometimes as a professional athlete, and this is what we're seeing right now with Atlanta United too, is that you've got to have individuals who hate losing more than you like winning. And that's another fine line there. But at the same time, you can't let it completely and totally just push you down and demoralize you when you have losses and you're trying to learn in those situations. It's almost like you're having to multitask. You're compartmentalizing here just to continue to focus on the task at hand.
Definitely. And I'm not saying that we should want to lose so that we can learn, right? That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that there are true benefits when you do lose. But yes, and one of them is creating that mindset of like, oh, I don't like losing. I want to win. And now I'm going to push myself to hopefully not feel that way anymore. My son, he plays baseball. He doesn't play soccer. And, he doesn't practice much by himself. Doesn't really have that drive yet. And I don't force it. And he came home from a game last season. He had made a few errors. And that was the first time he was like, Dad, I had a bad game. We need to go work on my fielding. And I was like, yes, finally. Like, thank you. Like, I was so happy that he had a bad game because that's what it needed. That's what he needed in order to get a little bump in the butt of like, hey, I need to get out there and work a little harder.
What was it like for you to have that catch? I guess it was in the backyard or in the front yard or out there on the road. What was it like for you to have that catch and run through those fundamentals with your son when you got to have that yes moment finally?
Yeah, it was awesome because it felt like I wasn't the one that was pushing it, right? He wanted it. He not only wanted to be out there, but wanted to then listen to what I had to say, and wanted to get the repetitions. And it wasn't like, okay, hey, let's do 30 of these. And it feels like I'm telling him how many to do versus him like, hey, just hit me as many as you can so you get tired. That was the big difference. And that's what made it so much more enjoyable and fun to be out there that day.
How long were you guys out there? How long were you hitting grounders and how long was the lesson?
Probably working on fielding for a good 30 minutes out at the field, which is, prior to that, he would be, take 5 or 6 grounders. And if he got all 5 of them, he was like, yeah, I'm good. I know how to field grounders. And it's like same old thing where I tell like kids, youth kids to make sure you work on your passing. And I know how to pass. I know you know how to pass. So do professionals, but still professionals work on it every single day. So it was one of those things where he was like, oh, I know how to field a ground ball. I know you know how to field a ground ball, but can you do it every single time with consistency, no matter where the ball is going, and know where to throw the ball and all those different things. So he actually took the time to do that day, which was nice.
So once again, there's the lesson here. And I think that sometimes we all have to be reminded in these situations that, yeah, we might know how to do something, but it doesn't hurt to be reminded how to do something, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Because, you get better at things the more you do it, and the more you do it, the more ingrained it becomes. It's subconscious, right? You're not thinking about it when you're out there on the field, right? And the worst thing when you have to hit a cross or hit a pass, especially if you're going to break a couple lines or anything like that, is to be thinking about it.
There you go.
Like, God, I hope I hit a good cross here.
Or if I have the right weight on it, am I hitting it to the right point? All these processes in your head of like, okay, well, if I hit it with this much power behind it, it's going to go to this point. Thinking sometimes is a detriment, and it's just do overthink. And that sounds really simplistic as you say it, but it's almost Yoda-esque, where it's like, just don't. There is no think, only do. And it sounds like a T-shirt almost.
No, definitely. And for me, it was on the field. Most of the thinking was when you don't have the ball, right? And then you're thinking, like watching, learning, setting yourself up. But once I receive the ball, it's mostly subconscious that's taking over then, right? I'm not thinking about dribbling. I'm not thinking about how hard I'm going to hit this ball. I just know based on, distance and players and movement and those things, right? It's just subconsciously, because I've done it so many times, like, okay, this is what happens. But the thinking was done prior to that.
Okay, so what's the timetable on the itinerary for Beyond Goals? Are you guys still incredibly busy now, especially that school and schedules are getting back at it?
Yeah, it's ramping back up, which is great. We're working again with Atlanta United Academy this year. Plus, I'll be coming down there in October to do a couple of events with Boys and Girls Club, soccer in the streets. So. Yeah, it's been really good, really exciting.
All right, so first and foremost, when it comes to the match this weekend, are you going?
I am. Yes, get to see the guys in person, live in the stadium, so that'll be exciting.
Okay, we have a question on the Twitch pitch. Would you like to handle it this morning? It's about Atlanta United.
Sure.
Shiva wants to know what you think is wrong with Joseph. How's that for $1 million question to wrap up the segment?
It's a good question. I'm hoping I have the opportunity to speak with Joseph this week, because I think that mentally maybe he needs to let go a little bit, and. I've heard him refer to himself as the old man with a bad knee a couple times now. And, what I was saying earlier, right? The more you tell yourself things positively or negatively, the more you start to believe them and feel them and think them. And I think right now, maybe he's still stuck in that mental frame of like, I'm not the player I used to be. I can't do this or that. Like they shouldn't rely on me to do this or that. But I think he's capable, and I think that he can get back to it. And so he needs to believe that. He needs to show that, because I think that he's being maybe, and this might sound crazy, but too much of a team player, too much of a, I want to help other guys, assist, and, be involved in possession. And I think he needs to get back to, I am a killer. I am going to score today, multiple goals, and I'm going to do whatever I have to do in order to do that. It seems like a little bit of that from my perspective isn't there. So I want angry Joseph back. I don't want smiling Joseph. And I know that, maybe for the good of the team and being captain and leading the team, he's lost a little bit of that to try and be more positive. But I want to see angry Joseph out on the field.
And you'll get the chance to do that on Sunday. One last Rhode Island question. I saw, did you at least get to pack the scarf that they put around your neck? Did that fit in the suitcase on the drive home?
I had the scarf, but then I was speaking with a young man, college age maybe, at the after event, and he was asking about the scarves, where could he get them, and all this stuff, and so I gave him mine. So no, I don't have the scarf either. I guess I didn't come home with anything from the event.
So where can we get the scarves, man? Do they exist so I can add one to the office? How can I do this here?
I'll make sure you get one when we come out with our crest in October. I'll make sure I grab something and have it sent your way so we can have it in the background there.
Okay, so and you realize, of course, this also means at some point that SDH is going to have to come up to Rhode Island to do a remote.
I sure hope so.
Enjoy the match this weekend at lower.com. I know that it's going. Are you going to wear one of those split shirts? Are you going to have like a half crew, half Atlanta United shirt? What's the wardrobe? Are you just going to dress black the whole thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go neutral colors for sure. But in my deep down, when they play each other, I'm still rooting for Atlanta United. But especially given how the table is right now, Atlanta needs the points more than Columbus. So, yeah, it's a big one. I'm hoping it'll be a good one. Columbus has been playing better lately, so it'll be a good game.
Yeah, but you got to stop the supply lines to Cucho and Lucas Zelarayan. Cap, as always, great to catch up with you. Great to see what's going on with Beyond Goals. Great to see what's going on with everything with USL and Rhode Island. We'll catch up with you in 2 weeks, but just enjoy the experience there this weekend. We'll catch up soon, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Have a great one.
All right. That is Michael Parkhurst and the Friday Free Kick. And once again, at BG Mentoring on Twitter. And you get to catch up with Cap and everybody there with Greg Garza. We'll catch up with Greg next week. Interesting allegiances for Michael Parkhurst when it comes to the match this weekend. But you heard him say right here that it's Atlanta United. So be interesting to see what goes on this weekend. I'm guessing he wears dress blacks. All right. So it is now halftime. Actually, it's a little more than halftime. We're at an hour and 15 minutes, but it's time to read the promo, especially for those of you looking on Twitch and looking at what's going on over my left shoulder. Eliminize Service, proud sponsor of everything SDH, for odor-free, clean, fresh air. One place you need to go, and it is Eliminize Service. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos, they've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pets, cigarettes, and food. They eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process, which makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment, offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have under the sink or in the cabinet, because when you reach under the sink or out of the cabinet, you spray the masking agent, then guess what happens? All you're doing is masking the odor. You're not attacking the problem all the way down to the molecule, like Eliminize does with their proven scientific formula. Pricing one of two ways, either by cubic feet or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you. Results in 24 hours or less. And so if you have questions frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go, it's the website, eliminize.com. But do us a favor, go /Atlanta after the .com so they know what part of the world that you are recruiting them from to help tackle your problem. So your full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, eliminize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air, proud sponsors of everything SDH. All right, let's take the tour and get you ready for the weekend across the pond and all the other places where we have things going on. News out of the Premier League. You have Manchester United and Casemiro. According to Fabrizio Romano, that is here we go status. Real Madrid accepted all details of the bid. Clubs are preparing contracts right now. 60 million euro fixed fee, 10 million in add-ons. Casemiro has a full agreement on a 4-year deal, option until 2027, medical and then visas to be sorted out during the weekend. So Casemiro to Manchester United. Carlo Ancelotti said that he wanted to leave, and so now he's getting to leave. And so Casemiro to Manchester United, here we go status from Fabrizio Romano. Nottingham Forest have signed Wolves midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White, 5-year contract in a deal worth £42.5 million. Nottingham Forest had 3 bids rejected leading into this one. number one midfield target all summer, played under Steve Cooper on loan at Swansea in 2021. Forest will pay Wolves an initial £25 million for the midfielder, $17.5 million available in add-ons related to performance and appearances, as well as the club retaining their top flight status. So Morgan Gibbs-White putting pen to paper, the England U21, well known to the coaching staff there, Wolves Academy grad, every minute of the club's 2 Premier League fixtures this season. So exit may be softened by the addition of Mateus Nunes to the club record deal on Wednesday. So Morgan Gibbs-White heading to Nottingham Forest as they continue to move forward. So looking at the papers, avoiding the 3-letter and the 4-letter, Daily Telegraph, once again, now turning their attention to PSV Eindhoven winger Cody Gakpo, who looks like he will cost them about £34 million. Alternative option to Gakpo, according to the Telegraph, is Atletico Madrid forward Yannick Carrasco, priced at £25.5 million after United failed with the 67.6 million bid for Antony from Ajax, who was their first choice. Chelsea want to push ahead with the deal for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang as a stopgap solution before looking at long-term targets next summer, including RB Leipzig forward Christopher Nkunku. Manchester United, Chelsea leading a number of Premier League clubs poised to embark on a £500 million rush over the final 2 weeks of the summer transfer window. It's going to be fun, so we'll talk about that on Soccer Over There. West Ham's legal row, and these are the words of the Telegraph, with their London Stadium landlords over beer prices at their home matches has intensified after the cost of the cheapest pint was cut by just 20p for their Europa Conference League game against Viborg. Then you also have, according to the Times, Chelsea optimistic that the Aubameyang deal can be reached as further talks are scheduled this week. Premier League is further ahead of their European rivals than ever before in terms of financing, but the increasing gap from Championship is a cause for concern, according to a new report. And let's see, we are avoiding the 3 and the 4-letter paper. Daily Mirror, Spurs are closing in on their 8th signing of the summer as they prepare to beat the likes of Chelsea and Manchester United to the signature of Blackburn Rovers starlet Ashley Phillips. Virgil van Dijk accepts Liverpool's visit to Old Trafford is massive proportions, with both teams stuttering at the start of the season. Daily Record, in demand Moussa Dembele's potential move to Manchester United could be cut by a cut price Juventus plan, which could leave Celtic minus a transfer jackpot. Winger Sead Haksabanovic, got it, edging closer to a permanent move to Celtic from Ruben Kazan, as his former club Djurgårdens appeared to give up their pursuit. So that's the tour around the papers. We mentioned the action this weekend, so we'll go ahead and give you juice boxes in the Prem and let you see what that schedule's all about. 6 matches on your Saturday. It is 3 on Sunday, and then you also have Monday Night Football. And you have, let's see, Tottenham and Wolves. That's your early match on Saturday. Then Spurs right now minus 238. Your draw is basically pushing a plus 400. Wolves to win at Spurs Stadium is a plus 700. 10 o'clock matches, there are 4. Crystal Palace at home hosting Aston Villa at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace a plus 152. Your draw is a plus 222. And Villa is a plus 204. Everton hosting Nottingham Forest. Everton on the minus side at a minus 102. Your draw is a plus 250. Nottingham Forest around plus 315. Fulham and Brentford. Fulham is a favorite at Craven Cottage at a plus 148. Your draw is a plus 245. And Brentford a plus 194. Leicester on the minus side at the King Power hosting Southampton. Leicester's a minus 115. Southampton on the draw and the win, both around basically a plus 300. Late matches, Bournemouth hosting Arsenal at the Vitality, and that one is Bournemouth basically a plus 670. Arsenal's minus 227. Your draws a plus 375. Your 3 matches on your Sunday, 2 at 9 o'clock, Leeds and Chelsea. Chelsea's a minus 182. Leeds at home at Elland Road is basically a plus 500. West Ham, plus 133 as Brighton comes to town. Your draw's a plus 245. Brighton's a plus 218. Don't look past Graham Potter in that one going up against West Ham. I'm looking draw there. Your late match on Sunday, Newcastle, a plus 785 as Manchester City comes to town as a minus 263. Your draw is basically a plus 415. Monday Night Football, Manchester United, Liverpool. Liverpool's a minus 161 as they should be. Manchester United a plus 430. Your draws plus 341 in the composite. So looking at the standings, Manchester City and Arsenal, right now they're the only two unbeatens. You have a lot of folks at 4 points, Brentford, Spurs, Newcastle, Leeds, Chelsea, Brighton. That gets you to 9. Villa, Nottingham, and Bournemouth each with 3 points. That gets you to 12. Liverpool with their 2 draws and Fulham with their 2 draws gets you to 14. 1 point each on the year, Wolves, Leicester, Palace, and Southampton. Southampton has already given up 6 goals, as has Leicester. They're at 1 point. No points, 2 losses for Everton, West Ham. Bottom of the table, Manchester United. Now, let's look at Italy and go quickly into Serie A and La Liga and let you see what's going on there. 4 matches tomorrow, and probably Torino hosting Lazio at 12:30. One to keep an eye on there. You can watch all this on Paramount Plus. I have some news from Paramount Plus coming up in just a bit. 4 matches on your Sunday, 2 at 12:30, 2 at 2:45. Atalanta and AC Milan at 2:45, and Bologna hosting Verona. Monday, 12:30, Roma and Cremonese. Roma's a minus 400 as they should be. Sampdoria and Juve. Juve is a minus 161. And we mentioned the news out of Paramount Plus. We mentioned Paramount Plus as a place to go catch your football. It looks like Paramount Plus is going to be hanging on to the Champions League. So looking at the feed of Jonathan Tannenwald, and if I can figure out how to spell Tannenwald, then I can tell you what the actual particulars are when it comes to the new deal. And this came out just as the show was going on this morning. Paramount Global beat out Amazon to keep the U.S. TV and streaming rights to Champions League matches. Winning bid was more than twice the price Paramount is now paying per year. So price went up, not just because it went up, but because a lot more games per season with the new Champions League format. So looking at that, so Paramount Plus, the place for all of your Champions League. So keep an eye on that as well. So as someone who has the subscription to Paramount Global, I definitely am keeping on to that. Christian Benteke, according to Stephen Goff, will not debut for DC United tomorrow. Work visa continues to play out. Wayne Rooney told the Washington Post Tuesday. Doubtful he'd be cleared in time. The new target is August 28th at Atlanta. Also on the board, looking around, let's go with Mexico and Liga MX with activity there. You've got Friday Night Football at 8 o'clock. Necaxa hosting Chivas. Tomorrow, 5 matches starting at 6. Querétaro hosting Club Tijuana, and Querétaro is a plus 119. Also, you have prohibitive favorites, Atlas hosting Puebla, Monterrey hosting Tigres, Club America hosting Cruz Azul, and Juarez hosting Mazatlan, and 2 of the late matches at 10:05. Pumas and Santos Laguna is on Sunday at 1 o'clock. They get the afternoon time slot. Atletico San Luis and Toluca is at 6. Pachuca is a big favorite hosting Club Leon on 8:05 on your Sunday night. So as we are going through all of the other leagues, let me go to Spain and catch you up on La Liga really quickly. Today, 2 matches at 2 and at 2 and at 4. Espanyol and Rayo Vallecano. Espanyol's a plus 154. Rayo is a plus 219. Sevilla Valladolid, your late match. Tomorrow, 3 matches. 11:30, Osasuna and Cadiz. Mallorca and Betis is at 1:30. And at 4 o'clock, Celta Vigo, Real Madrid. Real Madrid's minus 145. On your Sunday, Bilbao hosting Valencia, Madrid hosting Villarreal. Both are on the minus side. Real Sociedad and Barcelona. Barca's a plus 112 heading to Real Sociedad. Monday Night Football is Elche and Almeria, and Girona and Getafe. Also in the U.S., quickly, run through the weekend. You've got all the matches tomorrow. You have Pittsburgh and Red Bulls. Detroit and Lou City is probably one of the marquee games. In Keyworth, Lou City is a minus 118. We mentioned Loudoun and Atlanta United 2. That one's at 7:30. You've got Memphis and Birmingham at AutoZone. That one is at 8:30 to keep an eye on as well. Colorado Springs and Tampa Bay. That one's at Widener in downtown Colorado Springs. Take the over. Tampa Bay's a minus 101. New Mexico hosting a rising Monterey Bay side. They are a big favorite at the Lab. San Antonio and RGV, and El Paso and San Diego Loyal. In USL League One, tomorrow, 4 matches. Chattanooga and Tormenta, right there at the top of the list at 7:30 at CHI Memorial. Chattanooga's a +104. Tormenta's basically a +2.25. Union Omaha, North Carolina, Northern Colorado, Forward Madison, and Tucson hosting Greenville. In the standings in League One, Greenville, Richmond, 1-2, separated by a point. Then you have 3 through 9 separated by 5 points. Sound familiar? This is the way it always is in USL League One. Omaha at 31, Red Wolves and Charlotte at 29, Tormenta, Forward Madison at 27. Tormenta with wins right now 7-6. They are in the final playoff spot. Central Valley, Northern Colorado, both at 26. Central Valley has one more win. North Carolina and FC Tucson is last at 16 points. There was one piece of news out of USL Championship that I wanted to get into before we go, and it has to do with Phoenix Rising. Phoenix Rising and Rick Shantz. They have parted ways, and this happened in the midweek, happened back on Wednesday morning, and tagged as interim coach back in 2018, 80, 34, and 21 across all competitions, but it has been a rough year for Phoenix Rising in the West. When you look at the standings in the West, it is Phoenix right now 11th. They are 5 points out of a playoff spot, but they're 8, 5, and 11 this year. 8 wins, 5 draws, 11 losses in 24 matches. 11th in the Western Conference out of 13 teams, 5 points out of a playoff spot. So Rick Shantz, who led them to a pair of Western Conference titles, voted League's Coach of the Year in 2019, is now out as head coach at Phoenix Rising. So Christian Pirano returns to San Antonio FC. Indy acquires Jesus Vasquez in a transfer from RGV. And you've got that news from USL Championship. So it is a very, very busy time for soccer. And I know that a lot of you enjoyed the conversation that we had with Michael Parkhurst this morning. So it's really good to catch up with Cap. And yeah, I probably did over compartmentalize when it came to everything. So that's the show this morning. And once again, reminder for the start of the Atlanta United match. It is a half hour ahead of kick, and it's a straight 08 kick. So it's nothing funny like a really large pregame show or anything. So 5 o'clock, 92.9 The Game, Mike and Jason on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. And 5:30 kick with crew in Atlanta United. Michael Parkhurst will be in attendance for those of you making the trip to lower.com. So maybe grab Cap and say hi, put your arm around him. And then a full hour of post game after that. You can watch the Twos and Loudon on ESPN Plus. That one is at 7:30. Kick will be at 7:36. So thanks again for hanging out with us all week long. And as I learn technology, and it's great to have the conversation that we all have here on a weekly basis. And if you see me out in public, say hi, and I'll say hi back. And we'll do this again on Monday. We'll have all the programming across the network that we always have, and we will continue to do it. Oh, for those of you that like high school football, GPB's high school football starts tonight. Recruiting 2022 with Matt Stewart and myself. Then kickoff. Denmark and Roswell is your game of the week. That one's at 7:36 as well. And then we'll have the post-game show afterwards with Hannah Gooden and myself to take you through week 0 of everything going on with high school football here in the state of Georgia. Shameless plug. So for everybody here at SDH all week long, it's on behalf of Jason and Jarrett and Nick and myself. Thanks for hanging out with us all week. Let's see if I can roll the close of the show and close off another week here at SDH. Click this, go to here, and cue.